Hey, welcome to the first ever Not Your Mama's Real Estate Podcast. Because here's the deal, y'all. She's not your mama. She's my mama. My name's Jackson. I am so excited to be kicking this thing off. We've been thinking about this thing for a little while, and we're excited to get this thing going. Well, but before we do that, who the heck are you? What is your name?
So I'm Jean Christenberry, and I am your mama.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
Not your mama.
That's right. That's right. It's gonna be a gimmick, y'all. We're gonna make it a thing. But we're excited to do this thing. We have been thinking about this for a while. We have some things we really want to address, honestly, in this podcast. But before we even do that, I figure we should tell people a little bit about us, kind of where, personal side of things, where our backgrounds, things like that, and then we can talk about professional stuff, and then we can jump into kind of why we're doing this. But so where did you grow up? Where are you from?
So I actually was born in Heidelberg, Germany. My dad was enlisted in the Army, and he went overseas to serve there, worked on helicopters, and my mom was pregnant with me, and she couldn't stand being away from him, and so she went and joined
That's crazy.
him.
How long were they apart? Do you remember?
Well, he had to go down to, basic.
Basic, yeah.
So I went to basic, and so they were apart, 6 weeks, I think?
Wow.
8 weeks, something like that, and then he got shipped overseas, and not too long after that was when she went and joined him. So I was born over there on the base. So wished I'd given that had given me dual citizenship.
That's right. Yeah. That's the whole thing. I always want to tell people that, like, I want to be like, oh yeah, I'm like 50% German. Mom was like born in Germany, but the reality is like it's still American soil because it's a base. It's like but I mean, go America. That's pretty great too.
Yeah. So I am a U.S. citizen.
That's right.
I was only over there for 6 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then came back. And then Mom still actually lives in our original home.
Is that the house you grew up in?
Yes, that's the
That's
house.
wild.
So
oh my
she
gosh.
still lives in that house.
That's crazy.
Went to UTA for my college degree, for my bachelor's in social work. And then met my husband there, your dad.
Nice.
So met Perry there. And I actually asked him out on a date. So
yeah, you did.
I was the one that
okay,
started
Queen.
this whole thing.
That's right. That's awesome.
So that's how that went.
Yep.
And then we got married. I was 21 when we got married. And a lot of people think
Which was
really
a big
young.
deal, though, like for you, because you were like, I don't know if I want to do it this early. That was the whole thing.
Me.
Yeah, that was the whole thing.
Yeah, he totally surprised me. I wasn't really ready to get married, but didn't want to let him go either. So
nice.
Like, Like, okay, I'll grab him.
There you go.
So we finished our master's degrees, went to North Texas, both of us. We got our master's in counseling. And then both my husband and I were therapists.
Yep.
So we worked as therapists working with kids for a really long time and had a private practice doing that. And somewhere along the way, ended up having a wonderful young man named Jackson.
Hey, I do what I can. I exist in an exceptional way. It's really good. But I think you skip some stuff because there's some really cool stuff that I think, that people in our family have really gravitated towards y'all's story. And part of that is, between that, first off, you had me at 32. So like, especially for like your generation, that was a big deal. Like that was waiting for sure. Now that's a little more normal now, I guess.
We got asked all the time, when are you going to have kids?
For sure, yeah. And for a long time you did, right? Because like that was
11 years.
Yeah, a long time. So, but y'all were kind of like, I think of you as like hippies during that time because there was a lot of like things y'all did that were funky, that were cool. So one of them I think is like you guys did this world tour where you went and you just traveled. I imagine it as you packing up like a Volkswagen like van. Obviously, I know that's not what it was. But I imagine it was like a Volkswagen van. Y'all just living out of the van for like a while. But like, what was that? So talk about that.
So we'd finished our masters and we had amassed quite a few toys. So we had boats and jet skis and sailboats and all kinds of things. And just decided we were ready to do something totally different. We both loved traveling.
Yeah.
So we sold everything we had and we bought an RV. And we'd planned to be out a year traveling in the RV and going. We went through all the national parks.
It's cool.
All the way up into Canada and then back down the coastline. So it was really neat. But we only made it 4 months. And then we decided, okay, we got to come back because we're about to run out of money.
It's the worst.
So we came back and got jobs and then started working again in counseling world. and did that for quite a while.
Did y'all, when you sold everything, like, so you sold the toys for sure. Did you, like,
Mm-hmm.
were you living at a place too? So, like, you even sold your home kind of thing?
So we didn't own a home at that point
renting,
in time.
yeah.
We were renting from my dad, actually.
Oh, cool.
So talking about legacy real estate.
That's crazy.
My dad had a rental property. It
I
had
didn't
been
know
my
that.
grandmother's house.
Wow.
And so we were renting from him. And
Is that the one on Kennedale?
Mansfield Highway.
Oh, wow. That's right. Wow.
So we were right in between a liquor store and a Pizza Hut.
Nice.
So we had a lot of...
what more do you need, y'all?
It was a very colorful area.
It's awesome.
So we rented from him and just sold our cars, sold
sold your car,
toys,
wow.
sold all our stuff, had a big garage sale, just sold everything. So
and went for it.
Just went for it.
It's
Put
cool.
all our money into the trip.
It's cool. That's awesome. Well, that's and then, like she said, and then her life changed forever, and had to put down roots. Had to control these wild hippies over here.
Got to.
That's right. Yeah. So then I'm born, and then my story kicks off. Grew up in Arlington, spent all the time in Arlington. 2 houses in Arlington. We had a really cool house. Our first house. It had like a 2-story backyard. It had like a big creek. We had some trampoline down there. It was a lot of fun. And then, I went to Miller Elementary. I went to Young Junior High School. I went to Martin High School. I went up through Arlington ISD, and just always have loved being here. Now we've always, because Arlington, and especially we were kind of on the southwest side of Arlington, and so we were always more Fort Worth people, just travel wise. And if we were going into town, we were going to like Micosina and downtown Fort Worth or things like that. Then the Dallas side of things, but we did some Dallas stuff too, but. Grew up all in DFW for sure, and then went to UTA to fill the huge shoes left by my parents. That's right. Funny story: my parents met in the Baptist Student Ministry at UTA, and so when I got to UTA, the first thing I was like, I will not go to the Baptist Student Ministry.
Didn't know that.
I was like, So I was like, I refuse to go to the Baptist Student Ministry because I am not, I'm a freshman in college. I'm here to party or whatever. I didn't do much partying. I was kind of lame, but. I remember thinking that like very, very. Now it's funny because then my first semester in, I got not roped in. I lovingly joined the Methodist group based on campus called the Wesley.
Which is so totally different.
Yeah, which is so wildly different, right? So that was the funny thing. I remember being like, I'm not gonna do it, and then I didn't do it, but I kind of did.
You kind of did.
But so went to UTA. Really, really got ingrained there in a church group on campus, and then. Ended up meeting my wife kind of through UTA, through my connection, at least at UTA for sure. We both met at basically like a retreat for people interested in ministry as a full-time career. And so we met there doing that, and she got me the job at the church that I really wanted to work at a lot. And then we just kind of...
It was love.
Oh, hold on. Not at all. That's a very contentious statement because here's the deal. With me, like with her, she says she remembers me as just like either the guy, because I had been to their church once to talk about the Methodist group from UTA. And so I was the weird guy. I had this awesome car at the time. I had this blue rimmed, it had blue racing stripes, Scion TC, y'all, tricked out, had blue interior lighting. It was the best. It was the best thing ever. But they saw my car pull up and they're like, who is this lame guy pulling up to, so that she knew me immediately as that guy. So I was, not the greatest first impression. And then I remember her as the prettiest girl in the room. So that, it's 50-50. So that's how we play it. But so anyways, we started dating probably about 2 years after that, really. And then we got married. We just had our first child, Callahan.
Yes, my first grandbaby.
Yep, which has been a lot of fun. A whole lot of, things are changing and all that stuff. But so that's for sure kind of the personal where we're at. Still, my wife and I now live in basically Keller is what you'd think of. It's really North Fort Worth. And y'all are still in Arlington, still south.
By the lake.
Yep. And so that's kind of where we're at as far as personally goes. But professionally, you were doing counseling for years. So what made you make the shift to real estate?
So I had been working with mainly kids, adolescents usually. Had a bunch of contracts with Child Protective Services, Tarrant County Juvenile Probation, and did some work with ACH, Child and Family Services.
Yeah, keep that in mind. You'll hear that a lot in this podcast, ACH.
Yes, you will.
Yep.
And just was hearing a lot of bad stories,
a
lot of rough stories with kids.
Yeah.
So got completely fried, completely burned out, and just decided I needed to not do that anymore.
Yeah.
So stopped doing that, closed my practice, had another therapist that worked with me, and she took over the practice and just kind of stayed home.
Yeah, which was cool.
We just hung out.
Which was a lot of fun. I mean, I remember a lot of fun times. For those of you who are like Monopoly fans, we played the Lord of the Rings Monopoly. Like so vividly, I remember like you would say as you're moving the ring, like you had this golden ring, you know, that whatever I'm not as much of a ring fan as I should be, but you move the ring around the table and you're like, move the ring, and it's like all stuff.
Funny that made
I mean, I just like vividly I hear it in my head. So it's funny the things you pick up, but yeah. So that was kind of one of the funnest parts of my childhood was just I remember a lot of playing. We did a lot of zoo trips. We did a lot of all that kind of stuff. So
we're zoo.
Yeah.
And we did. We spent about a summer we've got a family lake house.
Yep.
Through my mom.
That was a blast.
We spent a summer there.
Yep. Brought a lot of friends with us when we did that. So it was cool. So it was a good time. But so you got burnt out. So what, we're in this season of hanging out, you and me living our best lives. Mm-hmm. And then what makes the shift to real estate? What's the thought?
So my brother was a general contractor, had a general construction business, and did a lot of commercial work. And his lady in his office quit. So he asked me to come run his office for him. So I did that for about a year and then just decided I really don't like desk jobs.
Right.
Sitting at a desk, being at a desk all day long. Sure. It's not my idea. So told him I really need to go do something else and then decided it was going to be either real estate or it was going to be insurance.
Okay.
And just thought real estate was way more interesting.
Sure. Yeah, a lot more tangible for sure.
Yeah, a little more tangible. Mm-hmm. And, our home where we had lived had made such a difference in like your life.
Oh yeah, big time.
With the people that were around us, our neighbors, the things that we were involved in.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. I mean, I'm an only child, but like I've never ever claimed that. If you know me, you're probably shocked by the fact that I just said I'm an only child because I usually talk about having sisters, and I do in my mind have sisters. Technically, I'm an only child, but the neighbors we grew up to, we got really really close with them. If I wasn't at their house, they were at our house kind of thing. And so, yeah, that was a really sweet spot.
Yeah,
so.
And part of that really, I think, has fueled my desire to really help people when they choose, what neighborhood you're going to be in, where you're going to live, what house you're going to be around, all the things that you open up to your life. So, so that was,
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Yeah. I mean, that's a big part of like I think it's funny, people, why they get into real estate. And I think for me, as I'm getting into it now, but man, like just where you live can make such a huge difference on your life.
It can change your life.
It can really drastically impact your life.
Absolutely.
And like that doesn't mean it has to be the best neighborhood. That doesn't mean it has to be the most expensive house, but just like who you're around, same phases or just people or the way that you are a neighbor to other people, like all of that can so drastically affect your life. I mean, change the trajectory in huge ways. It's really, really cool. So, all right, so that's professional, and then you've been doing it how long? So when was that?
So, gosh, that was 2006, 6. So
wow, so your first 2 years were 2008, 2009? Uh-huh. That's insane.
Yeah. Basically, I mean, I was selling for a year and a half before, everything started changing.
Sure.
So, yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
And it was really great. My first, I wasn't quite ready yet to get into real estate, but I had a really great friend, April. And
nice.
April said,
Shout out April.
If you'll hurry up and get your license, then I would like for you to sell our house.
Wow.
So she was my first client.
So she has faith. She just trusted. She said, Jesus, take the wheel, and she went for it.
Faith. Yes. Thank you, April. And she continues to trust us. We did helped her sell another house and buy a place last year, too. So,
nice.
Yeah, it's been a neat journey. So, about 17 years now.
Wow.
So,
that's wild.
17 years.
Yep, long time. Very, very cool. Yep.
How about you? What are you doing in real estate?
Well, let's see. So I got into real estate in 2020. I got my license in 2020, rather. Started doing part-time. I am a musician by trade, and so I've done singing and guitar playing and band leading in churches for I think 10 years now. And so that's where I come from as from my background. But I just wanted to do something new, honestly. I was excited to try something different. It's the family business, and so part of me was like, I'm excited to help you and just figure out this world that I have always known people who have just said you've done great things, and so I was excited to kind of figure out what all that was about. And so we
are very excited that
well,
he's coming on full time.
Yeah, I'm coming on full time now. So January 2023 is my January 1 is my start date full time in TCG, and so really excited about that. But I got into real estate, did part time, and then really hit it hard for about a year, and then
did amazing.
And then
I
did all right. And so and then but man, doing it part time is so difficult. Like part time agents out there, like respect, because like wow, it is hard. It is you even have like, you have a transaction coordinator, you have marketing people on your team, you have all these people that helped you. But like, oh my gosh, it is so difficult to time manage when you're working a whole other job, 9 to 5, and then do this other thing. And so I got just kind of honestly overwhelmed by that my first year, and then took about a year, 9 months off. And then was just excited. I was like, you know what? Like, I kind of miss it, and I kind of want to keep doing it. And so we're doing it. We're just jumping in.
We're doing it.
It's happening, y'all. So it's exciting. And that's kind of one of the other things about this podcast. One of the reasons it's happening, honestly, is just because it's, timing-wise, it's working out really well. So it's good stuff. So that's all professional. That's all, personal, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Why are we doing this podcast? What is the reason we started this podcast? I've got my reasonings. What would you say your reasoning is, though, first?
So... part of the real thing that I really wanted to do with this podcast is I want to really continue to help people. Real estate's always been like that for me. Real estate is just a vehicle for me to be able to help people.
Yeah.
I did that in counseling. It's what I live for. So our hope, or my hope with this, is that we'll be able to help other families as they make real estate decisions, having good information so that you can do that. And being able to build that wealth, and generational wealth, because the more you can do in real estate, it can be quite the venue. Most of our billionaires, multi-billion gazillionaires in life, they've made most of their wealth through real estate.
Yeah, sure.
So
yeah.
So it's not that I'm saying everybody needs to be a gazillionaire, but
right.
But real estate is a great way and a great vehicle for that.
Yeah.
And we'd really like to see people that we care about and that we think really need to do great things to make some money in real estate.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think for me, like, just having the ability. So, like, for example, like, one of the things I'm most excited about in this podcast is getting to highlight some of the things that you do, just at whether it's, buying a house or selling a house, things like that. I think that there's a lot of, we'll call them life hacks, or selling hacks or buying hacks. There's a lot of really cool things that you do, or mindsets that you approach real estate by that take a house from just what you're living in to being so much more to working for you almost.
There you go.
And I think that there's a lot of really cool things in that. And so for me, I'm an example of that. Obviously, I have gotten, the free ride, if you will, of that, tips and of those things, because long before I was ever considering a career in real estate, I already owned 2 homes. I had a rental property. Like, all of these things were happening just because of advice I was, getting from you. And so I think, and even being able to go full-time in real estate now, like, the reason I'm able to do that is because my wife and I had a rental property that we just sold. Now, all the investors just scream that I said that. They're like, I cannot believe this kid just sold in this market. Like, why are you not keeping your stuff? And for me and my family, it just made sense right now. It made sense for us to make this jump.
Well, and you had that as an option.
Yeah. Because we had it. Yeah, exactly. And so that's the reason, because I did that, I now have... I have the cushion to make this jump into real estate where my family is taken care of for the next, year, basically. I'm gonna make more. If I didn't make money over the next year, we'd be okay because of this cushion that came from that, and that's a huge gift to have, and a good confidence and peace to have as you do something new like this.
Yeah,
and so
it's difficult to go from
it's terrifying
a salaried, for sure, kind of a paycheck each month to commission only kind of a sale.
Absolutely. Yep. So it's very, it's scary, but it's, really excited about it and looking forward to it. And this is part of that. I'm excited to share kind of that journey, honestly, here in this podcast as we talk about things that are going on in our business. So, for me, that's a big part of what I want to do. Is I want to highlight you and just some of the hacks that I think people don't think of their homes as things that can work for them, or if they do, it's usually because, a parent or some figure, passed that on to them. So how can we just build up on those people with this information? So I think it's a big part. But another big part of this that we've talked about is kind of the running joke, which is, for me at least, is that I have, getting into the business, I'm learning more things about what it's actually like to be a realtor. And so, other agents and working with other agents or mortgage lenders or all these kind of things, like I'm learning that isn't always easy for people. And so, which is shocking because it's always been easy for me when I've done transactions with you and TCG. And so it's an opportunity for us to breed some trust in the real estate industry.
Absolutely. and share our expertise.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's a huge deal. And so because I think that we so often just, I think there was a excuse me. There was a statistic that said something like real estate agents were like the 5th least trusted people in industry wise.
Sure.
And that is so sad because I don't know. I've never had that experience personally, and I'm lucky.
Well, and that is something very exciting about the hope of this podcast is that, we get classified quite a bit in this industry as being very similar to used car salesmen, sure. The bad side of that. And, while every industry has great people and bad people and all that, they all have that. We get that rap a lot. And so it's really wonderful to be able to maybe shed some information that would help people see us in a different light, see us in a light of, well, it does take some expertise or it does take some knowledge to be able to sell real estate.
And then, we would love to work with every single person watching this podcast for sure. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I think our base hope is just that we could give you tools to see through some of those things, to see red flags so that you can make educated decisions on your own. So just to resource you for sure.
You can shop a realtor the way you need to.
And then I think kind of our final point about why I want to do this is really because there is so much negative talk about the real estate industry right now.
Absolutely.
Nationally speaking, it is insane what is being said about the real estate industry, how much of a buzzword it has kind of become for news outlets and stuff like that, which I think, trying to understand the business behind a news, system or whatever news outlet, obviously people care about it. Obviously people are worried about it. There's obviously fear in the national, their home, the thing that they spent the most money on probably for a lot of people.
It's a lot of people's biggest investment. Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people are worried about their big investment. Are they going to be okay? And so our hope with this is to do whatever we can to share just truth with people, to share what's actually going on in DFW specifically.
Right. Yeah, because what happens a lot is you get the national information and you think that's local. You think that's going to affect your house. Yep. Well, it may or may not.
Yeah.
Because, national numbers, what's happening in California or in Florida or even in New York doesn't necessarily apply to Texas, and not even to maybe Arlington or Hearst or Euless Bedford or Fort Worth.
Which is crazy. I mean, we talked about this already, but oh my gosh, for you, your second, third year, 2008, 2009, I wasn't there, or at least I didn't know.
I was there.
I was alive, but I didn't own a home at the time, right? And so I wasn't affected by this, personally. And so what I understand, though, about DFW in comparison to the national market is nuts. I don't know what the national numbers were, but, it's this huge fear basically about it. I'm guessing it was down, a significant amount, but I think DFW was a fifth of that or a sixth of that. It was so, lowly affected comparatively to the nationals.
It was foreclosures. Yeah. There were so many foreclosures happening in California, Arizona, Florida, all along the edges. And, percentage wise, Texas was not affected nearly as much. Our percentages were so low. We still had some foreclosures that we'd not really seen before, so our numbers were up for our area. But compared to those states, oh my gosh, we were so insulated and so protected because of a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
But mainly because, we just don't have that much variance. We have more land. We have our value is not as high as those outlying kind of places. So, there's all kinds of factors that go into that. And that's what we think about the upcoming recession, too, is that the DFW area is going to have some insulation that maybe some of these other outlying states aren't going to have.
DFW Airport, I think, is something we need to talk about in that because it is such a
hub.
It's a hub, and it makes us a hub. That alone, having that in our community allows people to live here and commute nationally, first off, but also just even there's so many opportunities here for businesses and stuff like that. And so, you told me this statistic the other day, but 300 some odd people are moving to DFW a day, y'all. What?
Still.
That is huge, and that's a significant amount. Whether you're seller or buyer, that's it. That drastically affects your experience here within DFW. That's different than it is rural areas, basically, right? It's different. It changes the way that you approach the process, and so we're hoping to offer local specific approaches to stuff. And how you can win in real estate in DFW.
Yeah, there's always, no matter what the market, whether you go up or whether you go down, whether it's a seller's market or buyer's market, there are always amazing opportunities to make to make money and to create some wealth. Yeah.
It's cool. So, I mean, that's kind of a little bit about us, professional, personal. That's a little bit about why we're wanting to do this podcast. I think for us, what we would just ask is that, like, if you have any ideas or things that you specifically are interested in learning about, wherever you're receiving this, medium of content, if you would just let us know in the comments or let us know in the reviews or let us know things that you want to be seeing, because we want to be taking note. We want to be answering things that you guys are interested in. But before we finish up here, I think what I would be interested to know is, 2023, it's going to be a big year for sure. We know that. There's going to be big changes. We've seen high highs in 2021. We've seen low lows in 2008, 2009. And I think people in their minds are still equating those things. I think they see the high and they're like, okay, when's it going to break? When's it going to crash? Is it coming? Is it coming? So as far as we look ahead to 2023, what are things that you think, obviously we'll cover this in depth as we go week to week, but what are things that you think people can rest on, that especially in DFW, like DFW natives or whatever we're called, what can we rest on when it comes to our homes and when it comes to real estate? Any ideas?
So a couple of things, and we are getting a lot of economic predictions,
right?
And they're falling kind of in two camps.
Exactly.
A lot of it is riding on the interest rate.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it really is on what's going to go up, is it going to go down, how's it going to go? Another part of it, of course, is unemployment. So there's some main factors going into all that. We can hash that out later.
We will. But
I think mainly what we need to keep in mind about this area is that even if we start to see some home value decline, it's projected that it'll be so extremely small.
Yeah.
There's really a lot of predictions right now that they're thinking we're still going to have appreciation by the end of the year next year of 3 to 4%. Well, over all these years nationally, an average of 4% a year has been standard appreciation on home values. We just had some crazy years in 20 and 21. I mean, 18, 19, 20% appreciation. So
but even before that, like I think you were telling me when we started the home buying process our first time in 2019, into 2019. Mm-hmm. Even then, I think you were saying DFW was rating more towards the 6 and 8% of that.
We were.
So we were already above that.
We had some good appreciation. And so we've got people have tons of equity right now. And that's what's so cool about the upcoming recession is people have a lot of equity in their homes. Yeah. In 2007 and 8, people did not have equity.
Preach.
They got into houses and they didn't have to put any money down. Yeah. There hadn't been home appreciation values going up. So
well, and the product mortgage lender, like people were just getting approved with zero credit. I mean, it didn't matter what the credit was. Exactly. If they were alive and breathing, they got a mortgage. And I think, to be clear, like I think that's a good distinction. If you out there are worried about the 2008, 2009 crash happening this year, there are things now, regulations now in place that just make that difficult, like make that very, very difficult to happen. At least, almost impossible to happen the way that it happened in 2008. So,
right.
Obviously it can happen some other way, but it's not going to happen for those reasons.
Yeah.
So,
and we are in an adjustment time.
Right.
We had market go like way up here for a couple of years. So it's going to have to swing a little bit. But in this area, all of our predictions that we're hearing from the economists and from Fannie Mae, it's looking more like it's going to be, if there's any home value depreciation, it'll be very, very small, if any, and then it'll make up for it with starting in 2024.
Yeah. It's big stuff. So buyer, seller market right now, you think it's about even?
Inventory-wise, no, because inventory is so low.
Yeah.
It's so low. We just have no homes. So that's part of it. Buyers have they got a big win right now because even though the interest rates are rough, there's some mortgage products out there that help you mitigate some of that.
Yep, big time.
So that's something that we can talk about later too.
Yep.
And then demand is lower.
Yeah, sure.
So demand has gone down because of the affordability. The home price is going up so fast and because of interest rates.
Yep.
So we got some factors that are play. It feels more like a balanced market. I guess the feeling of it feels more balanced because the sellers, they're still making great money. Sellers are still making great money on their sales. It's just not like it was at the first of last year.
Well, and I think we'll talk about, again, we have lots of things to unpack here, but I think for even millennials, especially my age millennials, getting into the market, this is kind of the only market we've known. Maybe they got in early kind of thing, but this is kind of the only market we know. And so for us, like the 6%, 7% interest rates are crazy.
Oh my gosh.
But that's like the average is 8%, I think. Yeah. Like over however long interest rates have been going on.
We bought a house when it was 12.
Yeah. So it's possible. So just know we'll talk about all this stuff in detail. But anyways, that I would say is probably a good point for us to stop.
Absolutely. Just know that we got good info coming. That there's always a good time. It's always a good time to own real estate.
That's right. Yeah, especially in DFW. So it'll be good. But all that to say, if you've enjoyed this, if you stuck with us long, I hope you have. We're excited to go on this journey together. We're excited to hopefully help people just know what's going on in DFW homes and what is happening, and hopefully resource everybody who's listening to this. So if you like this, would you please do me a favor on whatever social media platform you're seeing this on? Would love for you to like, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, hit the bell. It just helps you stay up to date with what's going on here. On top of that, feel free to always comment on any way. Wherever you're saying this, feel free to comment below. We'd love to hear about what you're thinking about this. We'd love to engage. Again, if you have things that you'd like to hear about as we go on this journey, let us know. We'd love to know. And then on top of that, just always feel free to share this with a friend. We are wanting to help people. That is our goal. We want to help people know about their homes in Fort Worth and DFW and Dallas and all that stuff.
And make great decisions.
Exactly. So anyways, come along with us on this journey as we go and we do this thing. I hope you've enjoyed the first podcast of Not Your Mama's.